turn into 2 penny, and it escalates throughout as it doubles. Now, is it really going to, is this single penny really going to double every day for 30 days? No. But what if it doubled every year for 30 years? So that could happen, right? But even if it was a little longer, but 30 years, that's pretty darn good. We invested a penny and 30 years later we had $5.4 million. Would it be worth it to start saving a penny? I'm going to say yes. So I still pick pennies up when I see them because every penny counts. So, and I'll have Alexis send you this fun little handout for you. But let's talk about compounding interest. Yeah. And that is...
I see on that side. Activities.
Okay, yeah. We've got another one, so we just come over there. This one single penny will double, and if it doubled every day for 30 days, it would be worth $5.4 million. That's pretty impressive, right? Yeah. So we're going to talk about the rule of 72. A rule of 72 is really just the rule of thumb. I don't know if you can see my thumb, but that's all it is. It's a great way to estimate how your investments will grow over time. So if you know your expected rate of return is does anybody know what the current rate of an investment or a CD is right now? Probably not. Okay. So we're going to say hypothetically that you get a 9% rate of return. With that rate of return, how many years would it take for it to double? Any math majors? Anyone have an idea? 9%, how many years would it take our money?
Wouldn't it be like a little bit over 7?
Yeah, it would be 8, right? Because 8, yeah, I was going to say it would be 8 years. So it's easy. All we have to do is take 72 divided by 9, which is 8, right? So, but pretty darn close. It's 8, sorry. So that's a good way for you guys to gauge your investment returns. Let's talk a minute about investments. How many of you guys know what a stock is? Anybody know what a stock is? You buy shares, thank you, exactly. You buy shares of a company. How many of you guys have Apple phones? Probably, most. If you don't have an Apple, you have a Samsung, right? Or I don't know the other kind. I have an Apple. So, I don't know what other kind, but you've all heard of apples, right? Or of Apple products. Their phones, their iPad, whatever we have. I own a piece of that company because I own shares of Apple. And it's a fun thing to do when getting started. Pick something that you like. Pick something that you're involved with. Maybe you own a Toyota and you want to own a piece of your car. So you could buy shares of Toyota. Maybe you have AT&T as your phone service. You could buy one share of AT&T. So it doesn't cost a lot to start investing, but the earlier you buy, the longer you have for that money to work and grow and double for you. Even if it's not every year. Even if it doubles every 6 or 7 years, depending on your rate of return, right? So I want to, I'm going to hand out another form, and we're going to talk about investing. So how many of you guys go to Starbucks every day? We're going to just pretend like hands are raised, right? So tell me, by skipping Starbucks every day, let's say a latte costs $5, and I know I'm being nice on that. But let's say you bought Starbucks stock, and instead of having your cup of coffee every day, you put $5 into this pot, and then you bought Starbucks when you had enough money. Your coffee in 5 years could be worth $11,000. Is that a lot of money? It adds up, right? Oh. $11,000. And you keep investing that $5 for 50 years, which I know is a long time, but you could have more than $800,000. That is impressive, right? So it doesn't take a lot to start investing. It just takes a little bit. It just takes a little time to start investing. And a stock is something that you can invest in something that you like. It doesn't take thousands of dollars. You can start investing with $20, $25. Another type of investment is a bond. Has anyone heard of a bond? And what is that? Nothing. Okay. Well, a bond is when you are basically you're loaning a company money. You're loaning them your money, and they are guaranteeing you a certain percentage back. A bond is a company, let's say the county of Merced wants to issue a bond. We're going to vote in a few weeks, right? And, which you're all almost, I think all of you are of voting age, so please go out and vote. Because then you get a say. So a bond, let's say the county of Merced is offering a bond. They are going to guarantee you 4% for the next 10 years. You're going to guarantee you that 4% and your original principal back in 10 years. That may be a good thing, right? Or, well, and at the end of that 10-year period, you're going to get your money back. So you're loaning them your money, and in return, they're going to guarantee you a certain return. In the difference, if you bought Apple stock, let's say we can buy it for $100, and next year it's only worth $80. They're not guaranteeing you anything, but let's say in 2 years that stock is now worth $120. Then you get the $120 if you decide to sell. You can keep it as long or as little as you want. And then there's a thing called a mutual fund. What's a mutual fund? Does anyone know? Do you guys know what a mutual fund is? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on either of you, but you're here, so I'm going to pick on you.
It's when there's like a company pulls together a lot of money and then they invest in different companies or organizations or ideas.
Right, right. So there's a mutual fund is a basket, right? And they say, you know what, we're going to invest in technology. So instead of having 1 share of Apple, or let's say 10 shares of Apple, that we could afford 10 shares of Apple, we are going to invest in technology. So in this basket, we're now going to have Apple stock, we're going to have Microsoft, we're going to have Google, we're going to have Meta, we're going to have maybe IBM, we're going to have 10 different stocks, let's say, in this basket that we're going to call a mutual fund. Now, we don't own those individual stocks right now, but we own a piece of that basket. And we get to get the dividends from there. We get to have, well, technology. Stocks don't typically pay a dividend, but if they did, you would get that. So a mutual fund is could be a very good way to invest if you have just a little money to start out with, because you're diversified. Excuse me. Diversification is where we have a little bit in different areas. We can do a tech stock, we could do a different kind of mutual fund where we maybe have some bonds in there, and we have some stocks, and we have some real estate, and we have, you know, maybe some commodities, which are like our gold and silver. We can have a balance in that one portfolio. So just because you don't have a lot of money to start with, doesn't mean you shouldn't start investing. I love it when people your age start investing, because you have what I don't have anymore. Do you know what that is? Thank you. Time. You got it. The time. I still have time, don't get me wrong, but I don't have near as much you guys have. So, and when we start young, the younger we start, the better off we are. We can, when you invest in yourself, it really benefits you in the long run. How many of you guys have jobs? Do you guys have jobs? Okay, right? We all have jobs. Starting at your age, I would highly recommend that you invest in a Roth IRA. What is a Roth IRA? A Roth IRA is an investment that you pay taxes on now, but you're not making a ton. I'm assuming if you guys are in school, you're not working full-time, and you're probably not making a whole heck of a lot of money. And you're hoping that when you graduate, you're going to be making a lot more, right? So if we can invest in a Roth IRA, that's after-tax dollars now, but as you put money in, you're making more money. But as this investment starts to grow and grow and grow and grow, and then when you're in your 60s or whenever you want to retire, anything after 59 and a half, that money comes out tax-free, not tax-deferred, tax-free, which is awesome. What other investment strategy is out there where you can put it in now, and it grows and grows and grows, and then it's tax-free? So it's a great investment strategy. There's also 401ks. If you have a job, they offer a 401k or maybe a simple, some kind of retirement plan, right? That means you get to put money in and the company matches you, maybe up to 3%, just depending. Always, always, always do that. Whatever they match, at least put that amount in. I promise you, you will not miss that money. It comes out tax deferred, so you don't have to pay taxes on it now, but as that money grows, and then when you retire, you have to take, when it has to come out at 72, then all of that money is taxed as ordinary income. So if you have a Roth IRA and a traditional, when you retire, you're going to be able to take some money tax deferred and then some tax free. So it really is a good strategy for you guys to have that balance. Also, there are other, you can have other accounts. You can, through a credit union, you can open up just a regular brokerage account. I know that there's other companies out there that you guys right now could go online and open an account starting with $25, $50. If you will promise yourself that you can put away at least 10%, I know they recommend 20%, but if you could do 10%, and if you can't do 10%, start with 5% of your salary, just put it away and make it automatic. So when your paycheck comes in, it immediately goes out to your savings account, your retirement account. That way, you'll never know. You're not going to miss it. Ideally, if you could live off of 50% of your income, and then you save 30%, and then you put 20% into your retirement, that would be ideal. But sometimes that's not realistic, and that's okay. But start somewhere. Start at 10%. And then when you get your next raise your savings by 1% until you get to that 10% range. If you can build a footprint for your future, you will be so much better off. I love teaching and helping young people figure out a budget. And I know that's a bad word. I know it is. But I'm going to say it anyways. A budget. And what is a budget? You guys know what a budget is?
How you spend your money.
Yep. And let me ask you. It's exactly how you spend your money. Do you guys know where all of your money goes? Close. Really? Wow. Okay, you can hear that? Oh, close. She knows where most of her money goes. Because I will tell you, about 90% of the ATM cards and credit scores. Credit scores are really important. You need to start somewhere. So I would recommend you get a credit card, not an ATM card, but a credit card, and start small and pay it off every month. If you can't afford it, if you don't have the money in your bank account, do not buy it. Just don't. Wait until you can save for it and then buy it. There's some really good hints that help us. You know, right now, a lot of times in this world, we want instant gratification, right? Our friends have it, we want it. We have a credit card, we're gonna go use that credit card. And then when the credit card is to its max, we're like, what do we do? How do we pay this off? And you guys, I'm sure all of you have student loans. Student loans are hard. And that's a debt that is worthwhile, in my opinion. So don't not do that. But any other debt, we need to try to get out of debt and not have that. If you can start with a footprint of only spending what you're making, I'm going to tell you, you will be so much better off. I have story after story that I could tell you of people that are older that have no money because they spend. I literally had a client who made $450,000 with bonuses a year. They weren't my client. They came in to talk to me because they were a referral of a client. Because $450,000 a year, and guess how much they had? Zero. In fact, they were in debt $250,000, not including their home and other debt. So you need to get a footprint now. One great way to see how much you're spending is cash. I like cash, especially at first because it gets your thought process to the front of your head. Allot yourself for groceries. I don't know, you guys are college students. Maybe you can get away with $50 a week, $75 a week, I don't know. But whatever it is, put it in cash. But don't spend your ATM card. Don't use your ATM card, just the cash. And then every time you put that cash out, you're going to realize how fast it goes. And then you're going to be able to keep track. Keep your receipts. I love it when you keep receipts, and then we can know exactly where your money goes. So it's super important for you guys to take control of yourself or your money for your future, because nobody else is going to do it, right? And we don't learn this in college, and we don't learn it in high school, and I really wish we could, and we would. But just know that there are tools out there. And if any one of you guys want, you can call me. I will help you for free. Because you're in this class, I will gladly help you. I'll help you figure out a budget. I'll keep you accountable, because keeping you accountable is just as important as figuring out your budget and making it work for you. We're almost out of time.
Oh, you can run till 6:30.
Oh, I can. Okay. All right. All right. So let's take a minute now. Does anybody have any questions so far? No. Any questions up there? Okay. I'm going to keep going. I hope I'm not boring you guys. Okay. So now, how many of you guys? I'm going to switch back. But how many of you guys own ATM cards? Right? I'm going to assume everybody has one. Everybody has a bank account. A challenge for you is to do just that. Take your ATM card and put it in an envelope. And don't use it. Put it in your drawer. Don't use your credit card just for 1 month. Just 1 month. And use cash. When you get your paycheck, go to the bank and get cash. I want you to use cash for your gas in your car, and I want all different envelopes. I have envelopes that say play money, food money, gas money, and I know sometimes it's hard in these days to not use a card. So if you have to use a card, I want you to take that money and put it in, have different accounts for right now. Go to the bank, create accounts, and just transfer it over so that you know where every penny goes, just for 1 month, so that you can keep that money in the forefront of your head, because it will make the biggest difference in your entire life, and hopefully one day you'll appreciate that. But, you know, I was talking to Lorraine today, and she said, make sure you tell people how to write a check. Have you guys ever learned how to write a check? You don't even know what checks are. Right?
I had to look it up on the internet once.
You had to write it, okay. But in the real world, you might have a job where you have to learn to write a check. So I want you to do just that. I want you to look at the internet. You have to, get a check. Hold on. Oh, run over here and get my checkbook. Because I'm old-fashioned, so I still write checks sometimes. So on here, I don't know if you can see, but I have a checkbook. Okay, so up there is a checkbook. It's okay. It's perfect. And but you've seen a regular check. You guys can see this check, okay? There's a spot on the right-hand side where you write the date. Super easy. And then there's a line that says pay to the order of. And I'm going to pay it to Alexis, okay? And I'm going to pay it, so there, I would write her name out. I would spell it out. And then there's a little box on the right-hand side, and that's where I would put the dollar amount. I'm going to give her $100. And so I'm going to write 100.00, because it's $100. And then I'm going to fill that line in so that nobody can add or take, well, they would never take away, right? So I'm going to put her name in there. Rootage, right? Yep. And I'm going to do $100. And then I have to spell it out, so I'm going to write it out. $100.00. And then I'm going to sign it. And that makes the check legit. You guys see that? I'm not giving it to her, just so you know, but I wrote it out. So, when you write a check, when you have to write a check, you have to make sure you put the dollar amount numerically, and you have to spell it out, because the line that spells it out, $100.00, that is what they go off of. That is the dollar amount, and they won't cash it if it doesn't match. Well, they shouldn't cash it if it doesn't match. So that could, somewhere down the line, that could be very helpful for you too. Okay, so, anyone awake? Any questions?
Don't you have to pay to like get the check?
You know what? So that's a good question. She said, do you have to pay to get checks? And the answer is very possibly. Some banks now will give you checks for free, just a few of them, because you really don't write many checks. You know, you might have to on occasion, but they'll give you a checkbook. And others, they will absolutely charge you. But if it's a way for you to keep track of your money, it really is a good thing.
And sometimes I feel like it'll depend on like on branch office to branch office, right?
Yeah.
How much they charge you.
Yeah, so did you, from branch office to branch office, usually banks are consistent in how much they charge you, the bank, so each branch could be different. But if you go from different banks to different banks, then they could absolutely charge you more. So, let's, all right, so no questions thus far. So let's talk about building, well, or doing something for you guys, all right? So let's talk about the stock market. Anyone know what the stock market's doing these days?
Down.
Down, right? So why would the stock market be down right now? Well, yeah, and the pandemic, so we printed all this money, right? We printed money, and when you print money, all this extra money, it's going to create inflation because we have to figure out a way to pay off that debt. So our government is in debt, right? So the only way that they can help balance that is to increase inflation to have people pay more, basically, to them, so that we can get out of some of this debt that we have created. But the pandemic did do it. And when we closed everything down, what happened? Nobody was spending. What makes this world go round? Money. Small businesses, right? Because when you go spend, you're helping, obviously, the business, and the business pays taxes, and the taxes pay our government, and our government then spends it. And so, but there's a lot of programs. We get a lot. They help fix the roads, and schooling, education is not free. And obviously you guys know that firsthand, but high schools and elementary schools and middle schools, we don't pay anything for taxes, for school up front. We do pay property taxes, and that helps go. So it's a big cycle. And so right now, everything is down. Inflation is high, and stock market is way down, right? But you know one thing? When you invest in the stock market, it is 100% track record of coming back. We can go through the 1920s, through the Great Depression, we can go through 2000, 1999, and 1980 when there was a recession, and 1909 when it was that big tech bubble, and 2008 and 9. You guys remember that one, 2008 and 9. Your parents probably were freaking out, thinking, what are we going to do? Is it ever going to come back? And the answer is yes, it's going to come back. So I don't want you to be afraid of investing. I want you to explore it. And so when you do that, when you explore and you start investing in yourself, you're really going to help yourself. So let's, have you guys ever been into a bank?
I mostly do online banking now, but I have been into banking.
Okay, so that's very common, and there's nothing wrong with that. But one day, I'm going to suggest, when you have time, walk into a bank. Walk into a bank and tell them you want $50 from your account, or $20 from your account, or $10, I don't care. And watch that transaction. Watch how now they don't count it. A machine counts it for you, right? So just watch the process. It really will help you understand. Now, let's talk about your job. How many of you guys work? Do you guys work? And I'm going to say, hypothetically, you make, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks an hour in college. Am I in that ballpark, right? Yeah. So let's say you make $15 an hour and you work 10 hours a week. That's $150, right? Do you get that whole 150? What? No. What? You're right. No, you don't. What happens? What are we taking out?
Taxes.
You take out federal taxes. You take out state taxes. Guess what? You take out Social Security taxes. You have to pay for Social Security for the people that are retiring now, right? And then there's a few other taxes. So when you get that, your paycheck, let's say it was $150, now you're making $100. You bring home $100, okay? Let's talk about taxes for a minute. When you go to the store and now you want that gaming video and it's $100, is it just $100?
No, it gets taxed later.
It gets taxed later too, right? So taxes are something you have to consider in your budget. Taxes are a huge part of your budget and your investment strategy. So be mindful of that. You know, when I teach my kids in money class, we do this we do this exercise where I ask what you want to be, what college you want to go to, where do you want to live, what kind of car do you want to drive, and they all write it all down. And then I do these calculations where I help them figure out, oh, you want to be an engineer, and let's say an engineer starts at $70,000 a year, but your school costs are going to be, let's say $150,000. So how many years are we going to take that out, pay that off? And that's a real thing. We need to pay back our student loans, or we need to get scholarships, or we need to get grants, right? They're going to forgive some, which everybody should take advantage of because it's there. But you need to know your situation. It's not going to just, nobody's not going to just hand you this education. It's important, but know that you are responsible for that. And during that process, you might get a job, and you want to make sure you start saving, because the sooner we save, the more we make in time, right? So I love that. I love that. Make sure that you try not to get into debt. Try to live on your budget. Try to be aware of every penny that goes out into wherever it goes. And we talked about a credit card for a minute. So your credit card, what good does that do you? Yep, very good. A credit score, right? So a credit score is really important. That's why if you can charge it and pay it off at the end of the month, or right when you do it, it helps build your credit. And credit is necessary, because when you go out on your own and you're not living with mom and dad anymore, and they cut you off because now you have to pay your own insurance and your own food, and you have to get your car, you need a good credit score. So be very vigilant in making sure your credit score is what it should be. Check your credit scores on the three, Experian, Transamerica, there's one more. Check your 3 credit bureaus and make sure you know what your score is today, and then improve on that. That will help you succeed in your coming out and being on your own. You will be so much better ahead if we can do that. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you guys can make money. You know, like I said, I teach this kids in money class, and I've asked them how they make money. How do you guys make money? Work, right? You can be creative in your thinking, though. I know kids that can go and they bring in their neighbor's trash cans, or they've got an online presence now. They sell, these e-books, and they're pretty ingenious. So find something that you like to do and figure out a way to make money. There is always a way. There's always something out there. Entrepreneurs are what make this world go round. Entrepreneurs are amazing. You can be creative. You can figure out a way that makes money doing what you like to do. And you guys are all going to school, and I think that's awesome. I have 4 kids, and they all went to college. I'm glad they're out. But there is always a way. It's not always easy. Some people's situations are a little different than others, but you can always figure out a way to do what works for you. Okay, let's take a break. Any questions? Chris, have any questions? What were you hoping to get out of this class, since you guys are the ones here? What were you hoping to learn? Because I can go on for hours, but manage your money. Okay.
I was really just coming to see what it was about, I thought it was interesting.
Okay, all right. Managing our money, let's talk about that a little bit more. Because have I answered most of your questions? Okay. But let's talk about that for a little bit more. And anyone up there, if you have any questions, I want you to feel free to unmute and ask me your questions, because this is for you guys, okay? So please feel free. But managing your money is really quite easy. But I would say take a paper and a pencil. You can do it online, but there's something really still very valuable about writing it down. It's just take a piece of paper and say, okay, here's my budget. So I'm making $100 a week, right? Write down $100. I know my rent, so times 4, so I only get $400 a month. My rent is $200, and this is net. This is what you're bringing home. So you know that you have $200 is going to rent. We know food is going to cost us, we're going to try to live on top ramen and bean and cheese burritos, right? So we're going to say $100 goes to food. That's pretty cheap, 25 bucks a week. I don't know if we can do that these days. And with that rent, that includes all of our bills, our electricity, our gas. We're just gonna say we rent a room and everything is covered, okay? So we have $100 left a month for gas, for if we have to pay our phone bill, for everything else. Everything that we wanna do, our insurance, which costs a lot. But before you do that, I want you to take, even if it's 10 bucks a month, I would like to see 40 bucks a month, but I would say start with $10 a month and open an account and put that money into a savings account for you. Whether it's a savings account or if you could do a Roth IRA, that would be ideal because you're saving for retirement. But we want to do both. We want some in our retirement and some savings because you really want to have 3 to 6 months of savings, cash, not making you a penny, but not losing you a penny in case of an emergency. You want to make sure you have money in case you get sick or you lose your job or you have a car expense or you are, whatever it is. It's not to go on vacation, but it's for truly emergencies. If you can have 3 to 6 months of savings and then use it as needed in an emergency, you will be so much better off. Because if you think, it'll happen later in life, guess what? It never gets easier. Well, sometimes it does, but you don't know when it's going to get easier. And if your footprint is to spend every penny that you have, guess what? I don't care if you make $100 a month or $10,000 a month, you will still spend every penny that you make. So we want to avoid that. We want you guys to be a step above everybody else. We want you to be able to save money and then save it. I believe in having fun. I think you need to save money to do something fun. You need to reward yourself. Let's say at the end of the semester, you want to go to the beach. But it costs, right? It's going to cost gas, which is outrageous, but it's going to cost you gas, it's going to cost you a hotel, it's going to cost you food. So save in advance for that. Just start putting that money away, but at the end of that goal, reward yourself, because that too does something for the brain. It helps you, our brains are pretty amazing, but they need to be rewarded. So do that, just don't do it all the time, and only do it when you have money. Like I said, I am a huge proponent of that. Let's go, we talked about your coffee, right? If you can have your coffee at home and not at Starbucks and start saving that money, how it's going to add up. It's just those little things, but it's going to add up. And the same thing if you go out. If you have to go out for food every day, if you buy pizza every day, I have another handout that says 1 slice of pizza equals $2, right? You buy 1 slice of pizza until you retire, you will spend $5,200 on pizza. And at $2, you can't even buy a piece of pizza for $2 anymore, right?
Just at Costco.
At Costco, you're right. At Costco, that's right. If you would invest in that $5,200, earning 8%, and it compounded every year at 8%, so you got 8%, for 50 years, you would have $64,000 $678.87. Is that a lot of money? Yeah, it can add up, right? So just be very mindful of, be very frugal. Know where your money goes. Know how much you are spending every day. Just, that's going to be my biggest takeaway for today. Just know where your money goes. Watch. Don't spend more than you make. And if you're in there now, let's talk about debt for a minute. If you are in debt right now, how do you get out? Pay, let's say you have 3 cards. Work on one card. Pay the highest interest, not the highest dollar amount. You want to pay the highest interest amount off first. So instead of paying $30 a month off of that credit card, pay $35 or $38 or whatever you can and knock that one out. And then when that one is done, don't spend it. Just put that card back in your envelope and don't use it. And now take that extra $38 and put it on credit card number 2 and pay that one off even faster. So you'll see the snowball effect, and then once again, once those 2 are paid for, then you pay the 3rd one off. Once you are out of debt, you will feel so good. It's such an amazing feeling to be completely out of debt. But it takes time. Be patient with yourselves. Don't worry that it's never going to happen, because it is. But do it slowly. All right. I think I've rambled on long enough.